if we use blockchain to transfer this kind of money. We can hedge against the hyperinflation that a lot of currencies in the region is undergoing. We can mention the enhancing the peer-to-peer transaction, financial transactions that will eliminate the cost of trust.
Welcome to The Feedback Loop, a Sino Global Capital podcast where we keep you in the loop about the most pressing issues in Web3 today. I'm your host, Mona Hamdi, a Harvard teaching fellow with 20 years of experience in nonprofit and sustainable development. I started using emerging technologies 15 years ago, working with remote peoples to create new economies based on the reversal of climate change. And today, I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at Sino, where I hope to bring beneficial technologies to the most forgotten corners of this planet. In today's episode, I am joined by Taxir, a communication and research initiative that encourages blockchain adoption through the MENA, the Middle East and North Africa region. Taxir wants to make sure that the Arab world does not miss out on the blockchain train. Since last year, they've been working on some of the best projects with the brightest minds that I've found through the Arab world, through the Arab Web3 space, and they're working to make their mission a reality. I'm happy to welcome Ammar, Hasan, Ali, Karake, two of Taxir's three founders, and together they have a diverse area of expertise, including risk assessment, banking, war reporting, and art curation. Tell me a little bit about how you started the year.
We have lots of projects that we've been talking about through the last year, and they started coming together during the last few months of 2022. And now we're finding the right people, the right partners, the right way to move forward with them. Like just yesterday, we had a meeting with one of our favorite organizations in MENA. They're called Al-Mawrid. They are a grand distributors in art and culture. And we were talking about data aggregation and collaboration within the industry to battle data poverty. The conversations are finally turning into reality.
That's fantastic to hear. What else is going on?
Weeks before publishing officially, and we're so exciting for this huge milestone in Taxir's life and hopefully in the Web3 community in MENA life. And you know about Abjadao.
Yes. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this. I want you to tell us a little bit about Abjadao. How did it come into creation? And maybe you can help our listeners understand a little bit about what it means to have an Arabic blockchain glossary.
When we came up with the idea of Abjadao early last year, it was due to the frustration with the lack of standardized way to translate blockchain to Arabic. Like the word blockchain in itself doesn't have a standardized and generalized translation that everybody uses. Some people say silsilat al-kutal, some people say blockchain, but even blockchain could be spelled in 8 different ways in Arabic. You know, Arabic is very nuanced when it comes to phonetics, and you can write many things in different ways. So that was an issue. And, you know, one example we give people about how widespread and how crucial this lack of translation is. If you navigate to Ethereum's main website in Arabic, you'll find the word Ethereum in itself written in 2 different ways. Once with 2 letters ya and once with 3 letters ya. So, you know, even inside one institution, there's a significant lack of standardization, of unionization, of propagation of trusted translations. So we wanted to work on that because the cost and the effort needed to translate any text, any blockchain text to Arabic is very high, and we wanted to reduce that. We wanted to provide translators, content creators of all sorts, like whether you're writing for written or text-based media, or you're writing for a podcast or YouTube content. You still need to find a good way to bring these concepts and terms to Arabic. What we initially did, we reached out to different parties that have noticed this problem as well, and that we're working on similar solutions to the one that we had in mind. Like, for example, ZeFi is a collective of blockchain researchers and writers based in Germany who are largely Syrians. They were working on their own glossary. They called it Dictionary. And they shared their progress with us, the methodology and all, and they agreed to post working on Dictionary and join in the effort. So we work on something together instead of coming up with different dictionaries. At the same time, we met Iman Houari. She's one of our favorite people in the blockchain sphere in the MENA region. She's the founder of Arabs in Blockchain, and she's as well a fellow at Ethereum at the Ethereum Foundation and a lead translator of Ethereum to Arabic, who had a great deal of insight to add to the project. And lastly, we needed like some real language geeks, some people who really get like the nuances and complexities of Arabic language. So we went to Taxir. Taxir are a collective of linguists, language researchers, and translators and editors who provide high-end editorial services to international clients like the British Council. They were already doing research and they were already interested in blockchain technology on individual basis. So they were interested to join in that effort as well and take care of the methodology part of the project. Working on methodology was quite exciting because there's different ways in terms of phonetics to write like the word blockchain, for example, in Arabic. But we had to balance many factors, like what is the most accurate way, what is the way that makes the best use of the capacities of Arabic language, but also what is the most the term that is most likely to be used by people on Google. Like, for example, we have these things in Arabic called harakat, which are light vowels. But people very rarely type harakat on Google while searching for something. So we decided to steer away from that, even if using harakat is more accurate. But we wanted to do something that is SEO friendly, search engines friendly, and something that is pragmatic to a certain extent, that we know people are likely to use it, not just must use it. So we kicked off the work on Abjadao late last year. We first had a workshop to produce the methodology document, and then we had a series of 4 hours long workshops where translators would tackle patches of 60 terms each time. And each translator would come into the workshop with their suggested translation for each of the 60 terms, as well as the rationale behind this translation. And during the 4 hours, the translators would discuss and come together around final translations, either through discussion, and if that was not possible, through voting. And the voting part is what inspired us to call it Abjadao, as in DAO. Because even though it's not on the blockchain per se, but it's a manifestation of decentralized work, as is the promise of DAOs. So we went in that direction with the name. We're finalizing and doing some last touches on the project. We're also launching very soon a form about 70 terms that we had more than one good translations for. So we're leaving it to the community to decide which one do they prefer, which one do they see themselves using the most. And once we gather the results of this form and do some final edits accordingly, we will be ready to put Abjadao in public for everybody to use. It's an open source project. We're very excited about how it will be received and how it will facilitate bringing more and more quality blockchain content to Arabic.
That's remarkable. How many entries or how many different terms have you defined so far in the Abjadao project?
Yeah, the first edition includes 600 terms.
Arabic, to me, is one of the most remarkable languages in the world for many reasons. Primarily among them is I don't think I've ever met another group of people who are native speakers, who have studied it their whole lives, who, if you ask them if they know their language, they'll say no. And that to me is just, some of that nuance of language. I think in my own family where we grow up speaking Arabic and, obviously, and French and English, and we're very sort of, we take pride in knowing Arabic. I think even among the ones in our family who know the language really well, maybe only one or two would we say they are a scholar of Arabic, right? And that to me is one of the very, very interesting things about the language block, not just in terms of knowing your own language to a level of sophistication, but about what Abjadao is doing. So how much do you think translating will aid adoption of blockchain in the Arab world? And what are some of the other obstacles that you think this industry faces in our part of the world and in our language?
I will do a quick comment on the language part and I will leave the rest to Ali. But that's a very excellent point that you raised, Mona, because I think, and that's due to some research on the subject, the reason why most Arabs say that they're not very good in Arabic, because I think they're in fact very good in Arabic, but they separate former Arabic from spoken Arabic, and they consider spoken dialects to be a wrong version of the language. I think that's not exactly true because languages develop in an organic and lively manner. They develop in the streets. They develop when we use slang. They even develop when we start borrowing forms of expression and terms from other languages. So I think if you speak and use spoken Arabic in a very good way, then you are a good Arabic speaker. I think it's all that emphasis on formal Arabic is what's causing this false dichotomy between right and wrong Arabic. Actually, one of the earliest caliphates in the Islamic nation, he was an Umayyad caliphate. I don't remember his name right now, but he proposed that Arabs should do away with Arab, which is like a sophisticated form of conjugation in Arabic, because he has this famous quote. شيبني خوف المنابر واللحن, which means the things that I fear from the most is public speaking and making Arab mistakes. So even early caliphs found it very difficult to keep up with all these nuances of Arabic. It only makes sense that we support like more simplified forms of our language to keep it alive and flexible. And that was a consideration that we took very seriously in Abu Dhabi. Like some people propose that we translate meme coins as in sukuk al-du'aba. And I was like the hell anyone is going to adopt that. That's very, dictionary word. It's not going to be adopted. But the one we ended up using is amlat al-alsh. And al-alsh is a spoken Egyptian word, and it just does a perfect job conveying what people are meaning by memes.
It's interesting to see how in technology or in retrofitting Arabic for blockchain, for SEO, for coding and for programming in infrastructure that's largely been architected by the West in English. It's really interesting that the push for preserving culture in the digital age is coming in two ways. From the technology camp, it's saying we have to simplify and go to first principles and allow for meaning to be translated very quickly. And we have a very traditional place that wants to preserve the exact opposite, right? The very traditional and the very poetic and the very classical forms of Arabic. And it's interesting to think that we're really sitting in terms of Arab culture at this cross section of what that will look like at the digital forefront of the rest of human history, really. So how do Arabs or Arabic speakers come to adopt blockchain? And what are some of the other ways that you find we're maybe getting in our own way, or some of those other obstacles of getting more Arabic voice in the blockchain industry?
In the Arabic region and in MENA in general, we have a lot of obstacles that we like to call the Bermuda Triangle. That has the three arms: the legal frame, poverty in data, for users, and the language barrier that we started already to tackle through Abjadao. We've pinpointed a really good the lack of infrastructure, technical structure definitely, and the other kind of infrastructure that is the social structure due to the exclusion for the MENA residents and the global digital economy. So it's being a bit hard to go from cash immediately to blockchain, while we have in MENA like 85% of the transactions are done in cash. Due to the not trusting the banking sectors in MENA, exclusion from the global economy, and the lack of the legal frame also is a big obstacle in MENA as well, because a lot of people are now scared to get scammed from the blockchain and the blockchain sphere. We can see also the stigma that accompanied the blockchain hype or rise in 2020, get rich quick scheme, which is a bit problematic for a lot of people. and it created a huge volume of ill-informed trading and ill-informed NFT flipping, which making people very hesitant to approach the blockchain sphere.
In the United States, I can say that these days especially, there is not much more clarity, if at all, from the regulating and legal bodies about issues that are very important to people who are using cryptocurrency, who are investing, who are deploying different products on different chains, people who are building different infrastructure around it. We're not in that much of a different position. As far as the scamming, one of the unfortunate sides of some of the early growth is exactly that. And we're starting to see really interesting trends happen through the region where we have economic infrastructure that is unstable, where Bitcoin mining increases. And we see that all around the world. And we're seeing that in the Arab world. What's really, really interesting to me also is something that I don't necessarily see in the United States, which is that many of the populations that I've worked with, that I am a huge advocate for, that I support, and that are the reasons that I do believe in blockchain, because I know that it would change their lives fundamentally, are the very same people who are faced with restrictions around like sanctions and US monetary policy. That means that they would never even qualify for those very basic identity documents or banking documents that would even be an on-ramp, right? And I see that as one of these fundamental issues about creating some global infrastructure, is that there are still so many obstacles like the ones that you mentioned that are faced in the everyday lives of the people that I know, that are in my world, you know? So how do you think, knowing that and knowing your three-headed, very depressing Bermuda Triangle, I think we're all on the same boat in some degree or another on that. How do you think that blockchain can help underrepresented people or people with those kinds of issues in their infrastructure and their ability to be provided an on-ramp? How can it help them take ownership of their identity, take ownership of their finances in general and in our region?
For example, MENA received around 76 billion in 2022 as remittance from abroad. With a simple calculation, you can find that these 76 billion costed at least 1.1 billion just in fees. This is a huge number. But if you use crypto for as a mean of transfer, you know, Mona, that this number will be a fraction, and 1.1 billion definitely won't see even millions. I think if we used blockchain to transfer this kind of money, we can hedge against the hyperinflation that a lot of the currencies in the region is undergoing. We can mention the enhancing the peer-to-peer financial transactions that will eliminate the cost of trust. And the cost of trust is something that we usually take for granted, and it's built in our system and built in every transaction. While we can use a smart contract to replace letters of guarantee, letters of credit, clearing fees, intermediary fees. If you look into the sheets or the numbers in the region, the trust is really costing us a lot. And to be honest, we're not getting it anyway, but we're paying for it. But we can eliminate this through using minimal effort, even in a technical way. I mean, a smart contract can be done within 10 minutes between two parties that we can agree to transfer billions of money, and they don't need to trust each other.
Speaking from my own experience, as a person who's approaching the 30 years old and still doesn't have a bank account, due to the fact that I'm Syrian, when I was living in Egypt, I wasn't allowed to have one. And when I'm living in Lebanon right now, I need to have like a minimum capital of $30,000 to be able to open a bank account. And, this problem doesn't end here. Actually, it's the beginning of much more branched problems. Like I can't apply for visas to many countries because they ask for a bank statement to make sure that I have an income. But if I don't have a bank account, I wouldn't be able to provide that. So I wouldn't be able to get a visa. So this banking exclusion turns into mobility issues, and these mobility issues turn into other issues as well. They become career difficulties because you can't travel, you can't get jobs abroad. You can't, in my case, attend conferences and crucial professional meetups that I needed to over the years. I think we should reverse engineer how this branch problem came together in the traditional financial world and try to solve this chain of mishaps. It's great that we're working on financial inclusion for now, but we need to take that further with time. We need for countries and states around the world to be accepting crypto wallets as a proof of income. For crypto wallets to be used as a proof of identity as well. That's why it's very important, all of the work being done on decentralized identity and soul-bound tokens. And it makes sense to me that most of the startups and the initiatives that are working on decentralized identity, like WorldCoin, with their, I think it's called ORB, the device that they're using. Yeah, they're paying lots of attention to third world countries and to troubled countries like Sudan, like Afghanistan, with their lack of personal documentation. So blockchain technology can also fill in that gap, the gap of, the great, if I may use this word on YouTube, clusterfuck that starts with financial inclusion and goes in all directions after that.
I want to stay here for a minute because on the one hand, soul-bound tokens and the idea of a wallet as proof of identity and as proof of income is a very provocative one. And then on the other hand, you mentioned a certain project that I had a lot of problems with. I had a lot of problems with transfer of biographical data, of documenting people by a party and things around identity and dignity and privacy and who owns that, and how do people monetize that. If you woke up tomorrow and you had the ability to make one change in your regulating body, and we're all here from different countries, but the same region, where would you start? Knowing your people and knowing your issues and knowing our region, if you had one place to begin, what would you address tomorrow?
I can think of a UN-sponsored way to give refugees around the world a certified wallet that represents one identity, and for that wallet to become a digital alternative for a real identity, and for it to start being used to issue visas, passports, mobility facilitation, and all of that. I also recognize and hear your concerns about WorldCoin. I do have them too, but I think we can approach some of these problems through ZK technology, like zero knowledge technology. And also this debate about perfecting the answer is important, but it's also important to start somewhere, because something is better than nothing in some context. And some people that we're talking about in the MENA region, they have been deprived of any sort of financial lives for decades. And speaking of financial exclusion, we think about the basic stuff, like you can't open a bank account, you can't use online payments. But also, what if you turned out to be a person who has passion or a knack for finance, and who would have alternatively had a financial life, have invested, traded, even provided financial services as a liquidity provider, or maybe develop some trading bars or anything like that. People are also deprived from that. There's an entire career path, and it's not only career paths, because people in the West have been talking about personal finance for a good while now, and we don't even have the very basics to start with building personal finance culture in MENA, where how do we tell people to invest and to save and to explore options on how to make the best use of their money if they can't, for a start, open a bank account?
Here in Beirut, for the past 2 weeks, it was even if they are giving you your money, you weren't able to go to the bank because they chose to close for no reason. So just giving at least 10% of the freedom to the people, 10% of their freedom to their financial for their finances, and I think that would change a lot of, and we will have a domino effect after that.
So if we leave behind the three-headed, the bad three-headed triangle, I want to get to the good three-headed triangle, and I know that your project is divided into 3 separate areas that operate in really different ways. So tell us a little bit about the difference between Taxir, Tafkir, and Taxir, please.
Let's begin with Tafkir, which is our favorite part of the project and the reason why the project exists. Tafkir is a nonprofit research and public good center organization. Like you can think of us like Coin Center in the US. And our main goal is to identify adoption barriers for blockchain technology in MENA and try to develop projects that would mitigate these barriers. So as we discussed earlier, the first barrier that we noticed was the linguistic one and the translation one, and we tackled that with AbjDAO. The second barrier is the lack of legal and regulatory framework for blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies in MENA, and we're tackling that by a new project that we are catalyzing right now. It's a multi-year research, legal research workshop. We're working with legal researchers from all over MENA to tackle 5 main points. I will mention a few of them. Like the first point we want to tackle is classification and categorization, because we want to read the financial laws of Arab countries and find the best way to classify and categorize different digital assets. Are they securities? Are they commodities? Are they property? Are they currency? Because each one of these categories have its own treatment, whether it comes to taxes, whether it comes to reporting to the government and official authorities, and etc. Another part we're very interested in is incorporating DAOs. We believe we're not only talking about DAOs in the hype sense. You know, we're talking about any attempt from a collective or a group of people to work together in a decentralized manners. Like, to me, anarchist communes, worker cooperatives, or unions, these are all DAOs. And we want to find a way to incorporate DAOs, to come up with a legal form or format for people who want to work together in this decentralized way, to be legally incorporated, and also like a side problem of lack of legal framework for DAOs is the lack of recognition of digital data in courts of law. Like, if I have 11 shares at Taxir and someone tried to push me out of Taxir, I need to go to the court and say the code in here in DAO House platform, for example, says that I have 11 shares. But we still don't have laws, and we don't have the technicalities for courts to recognize the code and the information in the code and say, you're right, you do have 11 shares in Taxir as a code shows. So these are like 2 of the 5 key points we're working on. We're also going after 4 broad goals in this legal research workshops. The first goal is to accelerate regulation, so we don't, so investors and consumers don't stay exposed for any longer than they should. The second point is to protect consumers and investors. The third goal is to protect innovation. And I'm not saying that in any particular order. Protecting innovation is just like as much as a priority as the former 2. And the last goal is to advocate for global regulatory harmony, because blockchain technology is a global technology, and countries and states need to work together to find a way to make these regulations interoperable, you know, and not to end up with situations where regulatory arbitrage come up, and you see lots of startups going to same few countries because they have preferential regulatory treatment. So yeah, in a nutshell, this is Tafkir. This is what we do at Tafkir. Taxir is a marketing and PR agency. We provide even other services like B2B solutions for, let's say there's a company or a project working on NFT ticketing, we can link them with ticketing service providers in MENA and see how we can white label that project or something like that. And there's lots of similar companies, but what we take pride of in Taxir is that our work is research backed by the research of Tafkir, and we also think about the concept that we coined in Taxir is called the cross-cultural scaling. And that means you need to scale your business, whether you're moving it from one volume or size to another, or from one market culture to another, because you can't move to a new market culture and do the same practices and expect them to work out. So that's what we focus on. When it comes to Taxir is a directory or index of service providers in MENA in different fields, like whether coders, developers, hackers, translators, copy editors and writers, community builders, event organizers, etc., who are interested in gaining exposure to blockchain technology without investing their money. So we index these people, we collect their information, like what kind of services can they provide, what kind of relevant expertise do they have. We provide them with basic blockchain training and literacy building. And then we connect them to, when Taxir is taking a project beyond its capacity, we delegate parts of the execution to members of Taxir.
You talked about the in-house efficiency present in the Arab Web3 space, right? You said that most blockchain professionals in the region are working with international companies and not local ones. So when I hear you talking about that, I hear a direct answer to that. What do you think are the expertise needed or the resources required on the ground to be fostered by organizations that interact with you and other ones in the region so that we can own the space ourselves?
I think for once, we definitely need more coders and hackers and builders. And the Arabs in Blockchain, an initiative led by Iman, is doing great work on that front. They're organizing something they're calling Web3 Train that we are proudly a part of, which is a series of lectures at different Arab universities to expose students to blockchain technology, its potential, and what can they do with it, where they can find themselves in it. We need lots of work on the level of formal education. Not enough Arab universities have adopted blockchain technology or offered relevant curriculum yet. We need to accelerate that, of course. But I think there's also a lot of importance in training like soft skills, blockchain soft skills. Like many people think the copy tone of blockchain, the using of memes and emojis and all of that is just like part of the hype or part of the internet culture that came up with it. But I think there's more to it than that. I think I always had this belief that the future is always more efficient and less serious. And, the way blockchain projects communicate themselves, they affirm that you can explain something very nuanced and very complicated and sophisticated by using, simple language and memes and emojis. So I think we also need to train people to do that and how to come up with our own Arabic version of the lingo of crypto lingo, because to me it would be sad to use the same old institution and corporate language to talk about this new technology, which is to me is not just a technology but also a movement.
I think you're right. I think when I think of the fact that every Arab I know, from my grandmother to my friends, has a sticker collection for their Telegram and their WhatsApps, right? I feel like if there's one place we could dominate, it's probably in translating meme culture. That's a really big mandate. When you think about what that sort of adoption looks like, where are Taxir's priorities in implementing this methodology?
We put lots of emphasis on capacity building. Right now, we are filming an educational specialization of 3 courses on blockchain for musicians. And we're detailing the myriad of opportunities in blockchain for artists and musicians in general, like performing in the metaverse or even licensing your music to be used in the metaverse, since the metaverse is the decentralized metaverse in particular, blockchain influenced metaverse is largely user content generated. So there's a lot of field to license your music in libraries and have users use them while they're building their own experiences. So education is a great education and capacity building, in fact, are great priorities for us. We're always producing content. We're always producing courses. We're always producing presentations and PDFs to try to simplify and communicate what's happening in blockchain today, in the blockchain world today. We're also taking parts in conferences and panels more and more to talk about all these stuff. So that's one priority we're having. And the other priority is doing research. We love research, and there's a huge potential for blockchain research in MENA. So yeah, we're on that.
What do you think is like the killer Web3 app that would just crush it in the Middle East? You must walk around your life and you go, I could do that. Blockchain would kill that. We should make an app for that. There should be a dApp. What's like the one, where would we kill it? What would just totally own the Arab world if we were to have a dApp for it tomorrow?
I think maybe something related to the social organization through DAOs, maybe. DAO for people to organize on any aspect or to be aligned, break the status quo that we have in MENA and all these levels, in the economical, social, and financial level. And I think this would be also might be our door to self-organize without to get what we really want and what we really need. We don't have to compensate in order to be with the crowd. We can get into into like-minded people and our crowd to do what we really need and what we really want to do.
What do you think the Arab world would look like if every kushk accepted digital wallets?
I think people would carry less cash on them, which is a great convenience, especially for unsafe areas, especially for places in conflict like Syria. That would be a huge relief for you not to have to carry on your cash. I think it's much easier to borrow money from friends for quick purchases, which lots of people, like student colleges in the Arab world, do. College students. So yeah, I think like a little detail like that would make financial life and day-to-day life significantly more convenient.
NFTs, music NFTs, you guys keep talking about entertainment. Who is your dream music NFT icon? Who would you love to see make a music NFT?
I have two names on mind. The first name, she's already on the blockchain. She's on Catalog. It's Nada Shazli. She's this brilliant contemporary Egyptian musician that I just love her work and her videos. The other name I can think of is Mashrou' Layla. Mashrou' Layla is a very grassrooted band. It was built by the support of the fans, the fanatic fans. So I want to see how this like fanaticism of Mashrou' Layla would translate in the blockchain and NFT space.
I never thought about it before, but thinking about it now, I think maybe this rap scene in Egypt, that would be. I think these guys would be great to see them in the NFT spaces.
Yeah, I was thinking along those lines, or like wigs or something, probably. So I can't wait for those guys to have NFTs, music NFTs. How do we find you? As we're wrapping up our time here, I want to make sure that everybody gets to your projects. How do people get in touch with you? How do they find you on the interwebs?
Yeah, the best way I can think of is Discord. The entire staff is online 5 days a week there. Please do show up, drop us a howdy, and let's talk. We're always around. We're always working.
You guys, it is awesome. I am so very grateful for the work that you're doing for Arab culture, for Arabic language, and for bringing blockchain to the Middle East, to North Africa, to Arabic speaking places of the world, and for doing the most important thing, which is creating a foundation of definitions and of commonality and ensuring access to people who wouldn't have it. One of the most important things about what you're doing is that you see the way the industry is changing every day in real time, and you're bringing it home to people in their own language in ways that make sense to them. I'll talk to you soon, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mona. Love
Bye.
talking to you. Bye.
Our time is up for now, but the conversation is still going. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Sino Global Cap, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and leave us your feedback so we can loop it into upcoming episodes.